Welcome back to the Foundation in C# course. We're currently in Module 9. In this lesson, we're going to be wiring up the booking of guests. So, your homework is to add a method, or actually just update the method that has that throw new not implement exception. Update that to book a guest into a room and add any supporting classes or models as necessary. Again, you probably shouldn't need to add any supporting classes or models, but you may. So go ahead and get that homework done. Okay, I'm assuming that you're done the homework. Now let's move on to actually doing it together. So we're going to book a guest. So go to our library and go to our SQL data, and we're going to look for book a guest, which is right here. And this is the one that's a little bit trickier. So let's copy all of this code. And this time we're going to remember to look at what the store procedure name is very carefully so we don't get the wrong one. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come over to my SQLite data access, and book guest is right here. So we're going to paste in all of this code. And the first thing we're going to do is clean some stuff up. We'll leave the store procedures for now, but we're going to remove the true for store procedure, control dot to add using system dot link, and then we'll remove true again. Let's unpin this for now. And we have save data, which that is a dapper method. So actually it's not a dapper method, it's not a dapper method, it's the fact that we have the true at the end. Duh. Okay, so now we have, in theory, all of the stuff we need for our calls. Let's start going through from top to bottom and making some changes. So we'll have string SQL equals the @ symbol and a couple of double quotes. We're going to grab the SP guest underscore insert. So under DB, DBO, store procedure, SP guest underscore insert. I'm going to copy this SQL, which it's a little more involved than just a select. And I'm going to paste it in here. And then I'm going to start making some modifications, taking off a DBO. And I'm going to tab this out. So get available rooms. This is the one that has the ID in it as well. And we're passing in that room ID, so we're good there. So let's tab this out to a reasonable spot. We'll delete the DBOs. I think that's it for the DBOs. We have all of our types. Everything looks good there. So now we have one more to do, and this is SQL equals at, couple double quotes, bookings underscore insert. So bookings insert, we're going to copy this really simple statement. Hopefully this one's not the one that gives us problems. It shouldn't. And we're going to do a replace here. So we'll do a SQL statement. We're going to take off the DBO. And we have room ID, guest ID, start date, end date, total cost. Those should all be set. The price, this is the one that's going to be tricky. Days staying times the price times 100. Don't forget that. That's going to take our decimal point off. All right. In theory, all of this works. Let's find out in practice by running our application. This is where the reality hits, is there may be some issues with our different data types we have some problems with, but Dapper's pretty good at mapping, so we're going to find out. So let's book a room for a king-size bed just for, let's do 2 nights. And let's do a search again and say book now. And it says get room type by ID. Well, that's a problem because we haven't implemented that yet. So let's implement the get room type by ID. So we're going to go over to our SQL data and get room type by ID, which is this command right here. And come over here and paste it in. And of course, we're going to do our string SQL equals at double quotes. And we're going to replace the room types get by ID. So the room types get by ID, which is this right here. We're going to copy this. And we're going to paste that into our text here. We're going to move the DBO. And we're going to put in SQL right here. And we're also going to remove our true because we don't use store procedures. And now that in theory should work as well. So let's run this. And once the browser starts, we'll do a room search. We'll do a search for 2 days. And we're going to book this king size bed. And hey, got through to here. We can say Tim Corey, which is already a Tim Corey in there. Let's hit book. And it looks like it's paused and it has an exception. SQL logic near if statement. All right, so it looks like we have an error in our if statement and it has a problem reading it. Okay, so that if statement is an issue. Let's stop here. Let's go over here and let's look at that if statement. So the problem here is that SQLite does not have the concept of if not exists with a begin and end. They have pieces of this, but it's hard to put together. Now, there's also the concept of upsert. The problem is that upsert will only fail if the key would be violated. But we don't have a key or a unique key on first and last name. like so. And I'm going to say, you know what, just give me the count. Okay? And what that's going to do is it's going to give me the count of a number of people that match a first name of this and a last name of this. So if results is greater than 0, because result is an int, I can actually change it to int to be clear. Result is an int, because it's a count. If result's greater than 0, that means that we're good to go. So if it equals 0, then what we're going to do is another SQL statement. And this one we're going to do is we're going to do this insert. So insert into guess, first name and last name, the values, and then we'll do this, this SQL statement. So underscore db dot save data, and this is going to be our SQL statement. Our parameters are going to be, I think it's actually still in the clipboard. Nope, it's not. Our parameters are this right here, like so. And that's going to insert that record into the database. Now we can do this final portion of a SQL statement, which is this right here. This is the select portion. So SQL equals at couple double quotes, semicolon, paste it in, and this is going to return for us the first name and last name of the guest and their ID. That is this call right here. So I have to create another call for this. Now we can say, in this one we can say string SQL equals and delete all. Tim, Corey, hit book, and now it says SQL logic error, no such table, dbo.room types. Whoops, I must have forgotten one of my DBOs right there. Let's make sure I didn't do that anywhere else. I don't think I did. That's the one that was already a SQL statement, which, oh, I did make a mistake. I made a couple mistakes here. It's a good thing I checked it over. This is not a store procedure. It's SQL. And then this is SQL as well. No DBOs in here. So I think we're good. We could do a Control F and find all the DBOs, but I think I got them, which is probably famous last words, but it's good to check your code real closely. Okay, book now. Tim, Corey, book. And it says we're good to go. So let's go over to our database and go to Browse Data and go to Bookings. Notice we have another booking here. Booking number 2 for room ID of 1 guest ID of 1, and the price is expensive. It looks like it's $20,000, which does not sound right. So let's find out why 2 days cost us $20,000. I know the answer to this. Maybe you do too. So I did my multiplication. That's where I ran into problems. You see, I pulled the values for the room type price. I didn't pull that from the front end. I pulled it from a database. So it already was multiplied. So I don't need to multiply it again. Otherwise, those prices get more and more expensive all the time. So now, that should be all we need to book a room. So let's launch this again and make sure. And we will search the room. We'll search the exact same time span. Do a search. We're going to book another king size bed. And we're going to say this one is John Corey and book. And now if we come over to our database and hit refresh, we now see a third booking, room ID of 2 for guest ID of 2. And the price is now much more reasonable, $200, not $20,000. Okay, if we look at the guests table, we now see that Tim and John are both in here. So you've got the guests updating correctly. We have the bookings being added properly. So with that, that's all we needed to do to get this portion working. Now in the next lesson, we can start working on the WPF side by allowing us to search for a booking.